Hi, welcome. It's really fun to see everybody in person again. Welcome to City Commission Room. We've had it all ready for everybody. And then what Brian does is he moves us around every now and then, so we maybe meet new partners or do something. Good. Mary, do you have any introductions, any new people today?
I don't think so.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of August 5th, 2021? Is there a second? Very good. All those in favor say aye.
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 We do have a resolution with condolence. Clark Conquest was a member of LAWA for many years. I think many of us knew him and appreciate all his hard work. We'll have just a moment of silence for that. The resolution is in your book here today, but just remember, all of you stay alive as long as you can, so I don't have many of these to read, please. But it's nice that we have people that are so dedicated to water as this board is as well. So we'll just have a moment of silence. Thank you. And now we'll have a moment of noise. Ken Veen.
I have nothing additional to add.
Oh, my goodness. So unusual. Okay. Technical Advisory Report Committee. Jerry, are you going to give that today?
Unfortunately for you, yes.
I'm excited.
Well, Bruce and I had to flip a coin to figure out who was going to give the report, and apparently I lost. But just real quickly, in addition to the normal updates and reports that we normally receive at the Technical Advisory Committee meetings, we had a fairly long discussion about the Eastern North Dakota alternative to use the McCluskey Canal as the intake facility. And we did pass a recommendation to the board to move forward with some preliminary engineering to flesh that alternative out a little bit more. And then in addition to that, we are recommending approval of 3 task orders. Pipeline contract 5C and D, the completion of the design. Pipeline contract 6, final design, and the land services for 2021 through 23. And then the other action that we took was to recommend approval of the final plans and specifications for contract 5B. And that concludes my report.
Do you have any clue of what, if we come off the McCluskey and do a pump and a treatment, how much that might cost?
I believe the number that we discussed was it would save somewhere in the neighborhood of $200 million and speed up the overall construction of the project.
Thank you. Yep, I think you're going to explain to us the task orders. You're remote today.
I am remote. Sorry I couldn't be with you in person, but you wouldn't want me there today. That's for sure. So on your agenda, we have NDOS first. Would you like me to cover that first?
Please.
So if you want to turn to tab C in your books, we provided a map for you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Very well.
Okay. So if you look at Red River Valley Water Supply Project, it's basically in green and the yellow line going over to Washburn. When we talk about Eastern North Dakota Water Supply, Jerry's correct. That is the alternative that would use the McCluskey Canal. And that is kind of in a gray line that runs east and west and north and south. Something on here just to note, We have a call-out box for the brake tank. You'll hear about that later in many different instances. So what we talked at the TAC is the strategy that Garrison and Lawa has always been under is let's build this entire project from east to west. So let's start at the Cheyenne River and start building towards the Missouri River, knowing at some point once we hit that brake tank, we're going to have to decide whether we put the pipe in the ground all the way to Washburn or we put the pipe in over to McCluskey Canal. Also, you guys have tasked us with saving money and accelerating the schedule. Tammy will give you a report probably later on Central North Dakota, but it is looking very good, in my opinion, that the likelihood of using the canal is going to be successful. And so what we're asking LAWA is to do some preliminary engineering on the east-west portion of your map that's labeled McCluskey to brake tanks. What we'd like to do is gather the LiDAR data, that's your information that you gather from an airplane, and drive the route and do enough design so we know where the pipeline is located in each quarter so that we can start acquiring right away, within 6 to 8 months. Jerry is correct. This could potentially save $200 million. Removing, 40 miles to 50 miles of pipeline will save a lot in construction timeline. So with that, I'd open up for discussion. If people agree with the concept, want to know more about it.
Ken?
Yeah, Kip, what about, there'd be operational cost savings too with this, right?
Yeah, at full flow, so if we're pumping 165 CFS, we've quoted, $3 to $4 million savings annually.
Any other questions? Authority seems pretty happy with that. Keep saving money. We like that idea.
Okay,
not-
very good. So we'll do some preliminary engineering work, and then later in the year, we would bring back some task orders if we want to really nail down and get after some of the engineering of it.
Okay. So should you go through the task orders next, please?
Sure.
We need to take action on that.
You want to take action on that?
I think don't we have that one? Yeah. So,
Okay, go ahead, Ken. You made a
to
motion.
approve the NDOS from tab C.
Ken Veen make motion to continue on the NWAS evaluation. Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? David?
Okay, so we've been talking about McCluskey Canal being the preferred route all along. Is there any reason why we would not move forward at this time with the research on it?
John, you want to mention anything on that, or from a legal perspective or anything? Is there, you got to just press your button.
Well, I'm thinking that Tammy with Garrison is probably best positioned to talk about some of the legal implications
Tammy?
with the McCluskey Canal.
Sure. Well, this is the last couple of months, I kind of raised this, that if you're going to go forward with NDOS, it would be really smart to kind of not make the decision formally, but start moving forward. And part of it is because, we're in the middle of the Central North Dakota litigation, and I'll maybe jump ahead a little bit in that the last day to appeal for Missouri was Monday. Monday afternoon, they did appeal the decision of the district court to the Court of Appeals. They still feel that the district court opinion is a good, strong, thorough decision. So I think it will be upheld on appeal. I'm very confident of that. However, NEPA litigation drags out. And so the thought process is if you do intend, and you don't have to make the decision 100%, but if you intend to pursue NDOS or think it's a good idea, we talked about the fact that it'd be good to start that process now, do the design, start acquiring some right away because they have 6 years to sue from the record of decision. You don't want them to wait to year 5 and then sue and hold you up. And so that was at least my thought is that the sooner you start this, maybe Missouri and Manitoba are going to jump in and sue, and I think it's in your best interest to get those lawsuits over sooner than later so that you're less likely to get held up if we're in the case of a drought.
The other reason is on federal money with the new infrastructure bill, there's a lot in for water. So it may be an opportunity to go to the federal government and ask them for 200, 300 million to help us do that portion. So we're thinking is if we start the planning, then at least we're prepared next spring or next year to do something. So for those two reasons, if we're going to get sued, let's find out. And then two, if we can find some federal funding to bring down the cost further. Any other discussion? It's a good question, David. I like that. A roll call vote, please.
Eltoff,
Yes.
Bigwood. Yes. Bonsack,
Yes.
Carlsrud,
Yes?
Erdman,
Yes.
Johnson. Yes. Mahoney,
Yes.
Nielsen, Schmaltz, Schmidt,
Yes.
and Vien.
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Good. Now we go to the task order, Kip.
Correct. If you can turn your books to tab D.
They're ready.
Oh, was I on mute?
Yeah, you were on mute for a minute.
Okay.
Half of us can
Well,
lip read, half can't, so only half of us got your message.
Okay, yeah, I'll start over. If you turn to tab D, Transmission Pipeline E, the task order for Contract 5 C and D. This task order is for $970,000. It is for 18 miles of pipe. Currently, the design is sitting at about 90%, and so this task order would allow us to bring that to full 100% design and ready to bid. This it's in two pieces, and so we could either, when these are ready, we've allowed to either bid this as one project or two projects. Other than that, it's pretty basic. It just takes it from 90 to 100% design.
Very good. We'll go all three of the task orders before we make a motion, please.
Okay. Turning to tab E is for final design on contract 6. This is a little bit different. This is 24 miles long. This is in Griggs County. Currently, this design sits at about 30%, so there's much more work to do on this segment. We'll have to do several geotechnical borings on this segment. We've also brought in, because of you guys agreed with NDOS, we've agreed to grab some LiDAR data with this task order for NDOS. Also, it's been a long time since we've looked at the user nominations. We know that some of those user nominations are going to change. And so with this task order, we're also going to look at pipe size and hydraulics for contract 6. So right now, how the project is sized is 165 comes out of the intake, or we're pulling 165 out of the river. Roughly 15 to 20 CFS stays in central North Dakota, maybe that Carrington, the Jamestown area. And then the remaining 145 CFS makes it to Lake Ashtabula. We know people are going to switch nominations and change, and so we think it's the right time to take another look at the hydraulics. If those nominations or requests go up or down, the hydraulic analysis will allow us to size the pipeline going east of Carrington to that allowable size. What else do we have in here? I said, yeah, this segment is 24 miles long. I know there's several tunnels in this task order too that we'll be designing. The task order cost is $4 million. And this would also allow us to break this up into two bidding segments if needed. Any questions with that one?
Any questions? Nope, go ahead.
And then the last task order bringing to you is tab F. This is acquiring all the easements from the break tank to the Cheyenne River. I called that out on the map, that break tank. You guys have told us to focus on that area, make sure that we have all the land secured. This task order is for $649,000, and this would allow us to tie up all the land right away from the break tank to the Cheyenne River.
Very good. Can I have a motion to approve all 3 task orders, please? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Roll call vote, please.
Eltoff.
Yes.
Bigwood. Bonsack.
Yes.
Karlsrud.
Yes.
Erdman.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mahoney.
Yes.
Nielsen.
Yes.
Schmaltz.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
And Veen.
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Kip, are you going into final change order number 1, MRN Tech Screen and Tunnel as well?
Correct. Tab G is change order number 1. This is our first task order out of all 4 contracts going on right now. Because it's new, we thought we'd bring it to LAWA so that everybody's open and transparent of what's happening. We can do this differently if people wish later, but tab G is the first change order we're bringing to you. It is for $145,370. This did add some areas next to the tunneling site that will gravel. We're also going to change the type of gravel we're going to be using. And then we agreed to remove a wooden light pole and a septic tank. This is happening on the property. We have to go through this gentleman's property to do our work at the tunneling site at the Missouri River. And we believe we're asking for your approval on this or any types of comment on change orders.
Total cost is what?
$145,370.
Thank you. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second? Second? Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Eltoff.
I have a question, please.
Okay.
Okay, on this page, a change order sets 19, okay. I'm wrong, sorry.
Oh, okay. We can
Yes,
we can
Yes.
restart the roll call.
Okay, Levon.
yes,
Bigwood.
Yes.
Bonsack.
Yes.
Karlsrud.
Yes.
Erdman.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mahoney.
Aye.
Okay. Nielsen.
Yes.
Schmaltz.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
And Veen.
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Final plans and specifications, contract 5B. Is that Kip as well? Mary?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe Lisa provided the link to LAWA board for this, correct, Lisa?
Yes, it went out with the email.
Okay. And also LAWA TAC was provided the same link. This contract 5B is for the 9 miles, next 9 miles that would be going just straight east of where the current construction is going on right now. If LAWA approves the plans and specifications, then that would allow Garrison to go out and bid and advertise this next section. Take any comments now, after the meeting, whenever you need, but we'd be asking for your approval for bidding.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Good. Are they going to do this next year? Next spring?
Correct. We would try to bid in the next 3 to 4 weeks, and then that would allow them to order their pipe, because pipe is taking 6 to 7 months, and so that would put us next spring for construction.
Okay. Any questions? Roll call vote, please.
Eltoff.
yes,
Bigwood.
Yes.
Bonsack.
Yes.
Karlsrud.
Yes.
Erdman.
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Mahoney,
Yep.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Schmaltz,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
and Veen.
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Work plan update. Kip, you got some pictures?
Yeah, tab H is just your general report that I try to give to you. I did not bring a presentation for you today on construction update. Rather than I'll just give you a quick narrative, if that's okay, on where we stand with the construction. As far as the pipeline contract goes, contract 5A for the 1.2 miles, the tunnel is complete. They are hoping to grout between the casing and the carrier pipe next week. So that would close out the tunneling portion. They have roughly 15 pieces of pipe to put in the ground that would make that connection, and then all pipe would be in the ground and buttoned up. They'll have a couple weeks left of installing appurtenances and bringing back topsoil. That'll close out contract 5A. At the discharge structure, they are basically done. However, the railing and some of the steel grids are on back order, and those are not supposed to be until this winter sometime. And so my guess is if we have a bad winter, that'll get installed next spring, or if we have a good winter, they'll install that this winter. And then moving over to contract 1 at the intake, we are working through the punch list to close out contract 1, and that'll be closed out. And basically contract 2 is the one active, the tunnel and screen portion at the river. They've completed the access roads required to bring in all their large equipment. They're currently erecting the huge crane that'll be on site to do all that work there. And I believe early next week, they'll start pounding in their support pilings for their bridge structure that'll go out into the Missouri River. That would complete my construction update.
Thank you. Any of the members been by there, looked at anything? Anybody been down? Nope. Probably should do that sometime, Mary, see what's going on.
It's very impressive, so we'd love to take you out there, or if you're ever in the area or want to go out there, contact anybody, Kip, myself, or Dwayne, and we'd love to show you the pipeline, the discharge, or the intake.
Very good. Thanks, Kip. Mary, you're going to go through program schedule.
Sure. Tab I is the program schedule. I don't know that I have anything to add to that. Kip did a really good job saying that where we were on all 3 of the ongoing projects, basically all substantially complete, and like Kip said, finishing up the punch list on the wet well. And the transmission pipeline east, 5B, which is the very bottom one. Kip had talked about that we'd like to go out for bid and award that bid in November, and then do the notice to proceed probably in the beginning of February or January. So that's pretty much there for your information, but I think that Kip did a really good job at covering where we were on those current projects.
Planning level budget.
Sure. Tab J is the planning level budget. This does not include any of the task orders that you approved today, so the next time that we come together, we'll add everything in that you approved today. But overall, we're making tremendous progress on the project, and we are spending money for this project, and we are building, so it's great to see. So the top part in the yellow is everything that we have completed, and so far we have 28.7 million of the task orders or the efforts that you had us start that are completed. Some of our lingering stuff with the financial modeling and stakeholder support, that's still ongoing. We're at about 61% complete on that. It's a $2.5 million effort. We've expended 1.5 million on that. And for doing some of the designs and land acquisition in green, we have a $3.7 million effort on that, and we've expended 1.4. So the blue and the green are ongoing. Blue is wrapping up, green's still ongoing. And down in the orange, those are our construction projects. And these are the ones that are ongoing already. And we are at 17% complete with our construction projects. We have 39.9 million in construction ongoing and 6.7 expended. And the pay requests are coming in, so they're making a lot of progress on this. So overall, with everything that we have approved so far, 51% complete. It's a $74.8 million effort, and we've expended $38.5 million and have $36.3 outstanding. And like I said, I will add the other stuff that you just approved for the next meeting.
Super. Item K,
Item K is the request that we had into the State Water Commission and the Department of Water Resources. It was for $47.49 million, and it's actually what you just approved today. It's the task orders to bring the 3 sections of pipeline up to final design to hopefully construct 9 miles of pipeline next spring and to continue with land acquisition. The State Water Commissioners did approve that at their meeting in October. Everybody voted for it, so that was really nice. They had some nice discussion on it, and it is actually, with the local cost share, a $63.3 million effort, so.
very good. Now tab F, or tab L, I guess we're gonna go, biennium program budget.
Sure. Tab L is the biennium program budget. It is, you guys have approved this already. It's in there for your information. That is our $89.7 million total funding effort. There are little tweaks in there for the task orders that you just approved. Actually, they all went down just a little bit. And we just add a little bit down to section 10 with the owner's reserve yet undefined projects. So the overall budget has not changed, but we updated it to the actual task orders that you approved. So that is really in there
Any
for
questions?
your information.
Small print, hard to see here, Mary.
I know, I've got my glasses on and I'm having a tough time.
Tiered cost share distribution, tab M.
Yeah, this is really that $89.7 million budget and what the local cost share will be and the breakdown. This is our Series C interim agreement between Garrison Diversion and Lake Agassiz. And it shows Fargo's share, Grand Forks' share, and what Garrison Diversion is putting up for the local systems for now. It is a total of $22.43 million that is needed for the local cost share. We have been working with the Bank of North Dakota on the loan eligibility for the new loan program, which is the Water Infrastructure Revolving Loan Fund. We have just submitted on Monday a loan eligibility request to the State Water Commission to ask for this funding. And I'll just state that Garrison Diversion is going to use reserves to pay for the $14.21 million, or $4.21 million. So it's an $18.2 million loan that we'll be asking for. The Bank of North Dakota has put a memo, and they sent that to the State Water Commission saying that we would be able to repay those loans. So it's going to be going in front of the State Water Commissioners on December 10th to say that this loan would be eligible. So it'll be the first time they've been looking at this loan, so it's kind of charting new territory. I do think at the November 10th State Water Commission Subcommittee meeting, they'll have some discussion on that, and Bank of North Dakota said that they would be available to help answer any questions that State Water Commission may have. So we have been working on the loan for a long time, and it looks like December 10th, hopefully, they will say that this is an eligible project for the 40-year 2%.
Very good. Mayor Dardis, would you have an opportunity, we were at a program with Garrison this last week. You were concerned about local share costs. Could you just comment that to the board, just the different numbers that we saw at the conferences it might cost us for emergency water supply for your local taxpayer? You had some concerns. If you just grab the mic right there, Bernie.
Thank you, Mayor. I had opportunity to visit with Representative Jim Schmidt with regard to that. There's been some numbers thrown around about 75%, 25% cost share. I encouraged him to follow through with the 80-20 that's also been presented to them and discussions that have taken place. That the critical part of this is obviously you have the metro cities, Fargo and Cass County and Grand Forks. My concern would be the smaller communities. And that's one of the things that I've continued to talk to Representative Schmidt, is the affordability of the smaller cities, because if we have any of those drop out, then that has a dramatic effect on the legislative efforts that we'll have for rural western North Dakota as to how they'll perceive this, is because we don't want them thinking that it's just for Cass County and Grand Forks County. So, you know, there's that whole political end of it, that the smaller users are absolutely critical to be able to afford this.
The other comment you had is the percentage of your monthly bill might be of concern for the local user. West Fargo is willing to increase that percentage by what amount, would you think?
Well, you know, that's a negligible type of thing to discuss about. We've had to raise our water rates in the last 2 years, and because we do buy our water from Fargo. And that being said, is that we still have maintenance on our own equipment and all. And previously, the city had not been doing a good job of operations and maintenance and calculating that. So like all of you, we struggle with the same type of large expenses, but when we do have to go in and do those types of repairs. So, you know, we're very sensitive that we would have to raise water rates, obviously, at any level, because we have had to do that in the last 2 years. And in our 2022 budget, it would appear that we'll probably be headed in that direction again.
I just bring that to your attention because as we go through this, we always are trying to figure out, you know, what we do with the small systems, but even the big systems are affected as well. And it is always a question of how much will your taxpayer tolerate? $5 a month, $10 a month. What is it that's going to be their level of, hey, you guys are putting too much on us? And for that reason, we talked this morning just at a meeting of maybe having our finance committee get back together and relook at our plans for how we want to do this. Maybe some cost savings come off McCluskey, maybe get some federal money in, maybe do a variety of different things to bring the local costs down if we can. Because the other thing we talked about is the O&M sits out there as well. And if you were pumping only 4 cubic feet, I mean, you still have to pump water through that pipe. So we have to figure out ways to keep the cost down. So next we'll go to project participation. Oh, thank you. Project participation agreements, Tammy and John Shockley are going to discuss that.
I can start by telling you that just last week I sent a draft to John. It's the first time that they've seen the draft project participation agreement and water supply agreement. It's probably 80 pages, so it's really exciting reading if you're an engineer or a lawyer probably, and maybe not so much to anybody else, but it's a super important document because what it's going to outline is the project construction, who's paying for it, which is all of you for the local share, and then how much water you're entitled to receive and how you'll make calls for water. All of that is addressed in this. It's kind of a big comprehensive agreement. It's going to be necessary to withstand the scrutiny of bond counsel, who's going to be loaning you money for the project. So it's a big, dense agreement that addresses a lot of things. And so we've sent this agreement out. We had our first of probably many meetings this morning where we're having kind of small group meetings. Just, you know, we did an introductory review today of here's kind of how we structured it, because a lot of these issues, you know, we put in the agreement, but they're really issues for the participants in Lake Agassi to figure out how you want to work together to address things with payment and that aren't really Garrison's concern. Garrison wants to get paid, and how you allocate that amongst yourselves is less of a concern to Garrison. So it's something that we've just encouraged Lake Agassi to take the reins and give us some input on whether you like the way it's written or however you want it changed. I don't see this as being adversarial as much as just cooperative, working together, what's going to work for everybody. So it's going to be a work in progress, ongoing, and probably if you want to be part of it or have some role, I think maybe talk to John or the team for Lake Agassi.
Yeah, and maybe just to add to that, LAWA has kind of formed a briefing group, if you would, to go over the PPA provisions and kind of talk through those. And I agree, I don't see it as an adversarial situation. There's just a lot of details to work out and vet with the different member entities so that we get the agreement right, because it's a long-term, very important agreement. So.
Any questions of either attorney? It's a great 80-page document, but there are fine details that we don't always think about, and as users, we're going to have to protect our team as much as possible. At the same time, not have us overcommitted in some of the issues that we may have to do. And Garrison's a good partner to try to figure that out of how we do that. So we view this as something to work over the next 30 days. And
I suspect it'll take longer than 30 days to get to the finish line. There's a lot of nuanced details to work. They're not
John,
adversarial.
you signed a $1.1 billion contract and it took you 20 days. Come on, this is much simpler.
Take you 30 days to read it.
Very good. Financial report, Mary, you're on again, the budget analysis statement, tab O.
So tab O is Lake Agassiz budget analysis for 2021. So as of September 30th, our 2021 budget was income for 2.6 million. We've actually brought in 806 million, or 806,000, leaving a balance of 1.8 million. For expenses, the budget was 2.6 million, 725,000 in expenses, balance of 1.9 million. So you'll see it down on the bottom, the account activity. Lake Agassiz started the year with 644,000 in the bank. Income received is 806,000, meaning total funds available of 1.4 million. We've listed out all of the expenses that have been paid there as of September 30th, leaving a bank balance of 725,000.
You need us to approve that?
Yes, please.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
No, second.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Eltoff,
Yes.
Bigwood,
Aye.
Bonsack,
Yes.
Carlsrud,
Yes?
Erdman,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Mahoney,
Aye.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Schmaltz,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Levine. Motion's carried.
Very good. I did jump over Tammy Norgard in the state of Missouri lawsuit, and you did mention it early, Tammy, but maybe I'd have you just give a couple of those other little nuances you said as far as how the judge looked at the argument and why you're very confident in our position.
I will say that in the district court litigation, you know, Garrison was sued, the state intervened, but largely this is a bureau issue. So the federal attorneys came in and they're saying, well, we defend NEPA cases all the time. We want to be the primary people discussing NEPA, which he said was fine. We added a lot of color between the state and Garrison in that briefing because the state of Missouri was really arguing a lot of things that shouldn't be at issue, but we didn't want those things to remain in the judge's mind. So we addressed a lot of those things that the federal attorneys were saying weren't really relevant. And so we had a bigger role in the district court litigation. When it comes to on appeal, the only issues that are going to be relevant are the core NEPA issues. And so I think as a practical matter, the state and Garrison will kind of be just riding the coattails of the federal attorneys largely, and these are attorneys that a big part of their practice at Department of Justice is defending these types of NEPA appeals, and so I'm pretty, confident in their abilities in general, but also that the judge did such a good job really detailing, whether one of the issues is whether the Bureau considered cumulative impacts downstream. And so when the judge wrote her opinion, she cited to the record, here's these pages, this part of the record of decision exhibit that addresses those things. She did a really thorough job in identifying those things. So I thought that was very helpful on appeal. And that's why I do feel pretty confident that we should have a very good chance of prevailing on appeal. That said, with NEPA litigation, you just never know. That's where the NAS matter, this was 17 years and it went up on appeal, it went back to the district court because the Bureau was required to redo things. And well, you didn't look hard enough at this issue or that issue and go back from an EA to an EIS, they required an EIS. So it kept going back and forth for 17 years. I really don't think that's going to happen here, and in part because part of what the Bureau has done in this project is they incorporated by reference a lot of things that they addressed in NAS, which was ultimately upheld on appeal for depletions and issues about the river. So that's where I think that we're at a different stage than we were in the NAS litigation. However, it's just the nature of NEPA litigation that there's a lot of, but you didn't look at this, and sometimes it catches a judge's eye and sometimes it doesn't, but I feel pretty good about this one.
Very good. We like legal things to work out sometimes, we'll see. On your tab P, you have the bills paid, and then tab Q, you have a summary of the dues received. Do we have any unfinished business as the authority? Ken Veen, you have anything to bring up today? But you have to be pleased that the State Water Commission gave us $50 million. Aren't you happy about that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you are happy about that. We are trying to negotiate out of the money presently 25 or 50 million, right, Mary? We're kind of working on that, so we're trying to get more pipeline in. So if any of you have influence with legislative team, just remind them it's a nice project, it's moving forward, and another 50 million would be helpful. So I hear Valley City got its downtown done. Dave, is it all done now? Should I come there for the fall festival?
You guys are always invited to Valley City. All of you. I do have a question.
Go ahead.
You know, for so many years, we've been working to utilize the McCluskey Canal, which is sinful the way it is, but it's always stonewalled. And I'm just, in my mind, questioning why, you know, what has changed to make us think we can move forward with that? It scares me just a bit.
I have one answer to that, and that is Donald Trump. Love him or hate him. When Donald Trump got elected, we as a team said, we think we should ask to see if, because we couldn't get that record of decision. Former Governor Schaefer was in the cabinet as Secretary of Agriculture when George W. Bush was in office, and we tried and tried through him to get a record of decision, couldn't happen. And so when Donald Trump got elected and he's like, you know, to heck with Canada, to heck with Mexico, America first, we said, why not start this process and ask? And the record of decision for NDOS was signed 4 days before President Biden came into office. So it was constant go during that 4 years, and we pushed and pushed, lobbied hard. We had great people. We had Andrea Travnik was in the Trump administration at the Department of Interior. She helped push internally, and it was a matter of getting right to the finish line to get that record of decision. And so that's not to say, you know, we still have the whole legal review process, but we have been unsuccessful in prior administrations to get the approvals that we needed from the federal government to move forward.
Okay, thank you. Hope dies last, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's a good question, but it was down to the last 4 days, so it was nice to get that. We appreciate it. We have another business, do we?
Oh, we do, user updates.
User outreach, Steve Burrion. You sit so far in back, I can't see you. It's just such a distance away.
I tucked my shirt in today. It gave me spot.
Thank you, Tammy, for reminding me that Steve's still here. Yeah.
Chairman Mahoney, members of the LAWA board. In past meetings, I've updated you on the fact that we went out and met with all of the different users to update them on the project and the progress we've made in recent years and the fact that we're under construction. We do have one meeting left, and that's with Jamestown and Stutzman County. We've had to reschedule that multiple times, but we do have a scheduled meeting now on Monday, November 15th at 2 p.m. to meet with them, and that'll wrap up that round of user meetings. When Kip is giving his report, he also indicated that it was felt that it was time to get a re-look at everybody's nomination. And so Dwayne DeCray penned off a letter to each of the users in which we provided some background on the project, and then we posed 6 questions. We asked them to reaffirm how much domestic water they wanted, how much industrial water they wanted, and the total, obviously, how much peak day they felt they needed, because that has to help with infrastructure. We asked them where they'd want their point of connection to be. We asked them which route they would want to get the water. For Fargo, it's fairly clear, for instance, that they would get it out of the Cheyenne River at their intake, but For others, where there's a pipeline involved, it gets more complicated. And then we asked them, if treatment were on the table in some way, shape, or form, would it make a substantial difference in your involvement in the project? And we knew that those 6 questions going to a mayor were going to be obviously very difficult to answer. And so as the quarterback for this, I was asked to reach out and talk to each of the members and see what information or what process they would like to use to put everybody's heads together to answer those questions. And we're in the process of doing that right now. What we've also realized is as we ask those questions, Tammy and John talked about the project participation agreement. Obviously, that's intimately involved in that. If you look at the operations task order that you approved at your previous meeting, these questions we've asked, as well as the participation agreement, are all inextricably linked. Everybody wants to know how much it's going to cost and how it's going to get to them, and so the technical and the financial are all linked as well. And so even though we're under construction, it's actually probably one of the most complicated times that we've been on the project, because we have all these concentric circles that are all out there and all these difficult questions that we need to bring kind of to fruition at some point so that we can have a successful financial plan, which results in a successful legal plan, which results in a successful operations plan. And so I anticipate that at each of these meetings we'll be continuing to update you as we deal with user outreach. For any of those that have received a call from me or haven't received a call yet, you will be. We're willing to have virtual meetings to talk to you, or we're willing to have in-person meetings to talk to you. We're willing to group users together if that collaboration would be helpful, but we are actively seeking your engagement in terms of looking at things one more time. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions, the group? What happens if Grand Forks gets a $750 million plant they're looking at, Steve? Isn't that quite a jump? Would they do more industrial allowance for that, or what happens? I don't know what that plant you're putting in there, Kent. Is it potatoes or beets or what? The mayor said you get gas over there, and then you got $750 million of some kind of plant.
I'll be very honest, I haven't been included in all of the discussions on that, so I can't tell you what that is. I'm aware of it, kind of like he has said publicly, so I can do it.
Sean was going to jump up, but Grand Forks says that, I guess, quietly in the running for a potential large food processing facility up there, and if they get that, it's going to be a pretty significant user of both water and gas. Sean and I were both involved in the nomination that Grand Forks made for their water supply, and I think at this point it would still be within the realm of what they were talking about. But I know that, Ken, you mentioned at a recent meeting that if there are some people that turn back their supply, at their nomination, would it ever make sense for somebody to jump in and grab some of that? And so I could see that, as we have all these meetings with everybody, if we do see some reductions by some, we may see some increases by others as you see some of those dynamics. I also know that, the governor of North Dakota, when he requested, this is from Mary, I'm just parodying this, but when he requested his dollars for ARPA, he wanted to have $50 million for water, and he wanted that $50 million to go for projects that were not on the current water development plan. And what that means is that he's obviously aware or anticipates that there's some very large water users that potentially could locate in North Dakota. And it's my understanding that those projects extend from Fargo and Grand Forks all the way to Williston, and with some stops in between. And so I think that it's really an exciting time right now for North Dakota. And with that, it's an exciting time for water. Long answer to a short question, but.
Very good. Thank you. It's good that these are going on, right, Mary?
There's a lot going on.
Anything else? Tom, you don't have something in Carrington, do you? You don't have a big plant going in there, 700 million or something? Something going in there?
Oh, yeah, we do. We're just trying to keep a secret from everybody.
Very good. We'll tell this room not to tell anybody. Forum, you can leave now. No other business, I think, right? Any questions, comments? Is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? All those in favor to adjourn say aye.
Hi.
No, all the restaurants in downtown Fargo are open now, so if you guys want to find a nice lunch place, there's really some cool places downtown. Thank you.